This session is about marriage. This is extremely important. In fact, it's the most important, so please listen very carefully. You mustn't mix up your priorities. If you do, you'll mess up your whole life. The relationship between husband and wife exceeds any priority. The relationship between parents and children comes next. Perhaps friendship follows that. Friendship is a wide world, however. There are best friends in the true sense of the term, and there are colleagues at work. And next in line is work. Probably. And after that, the environment and nature. Your relationship with that. And men are pitiful living beings. They start here with work and nature. When it comes to nature, the macho sportsman type. He'll probably begin with campfire or the likes. And the only other thing these men have is work. They probably think that if they can get you in a Jeep and take you there, they can make you happy. And cool dudes, well, they take good care of their friends. Really good care. And that's as far as it goes. What do you do? It's all about order. The husband and wife relationship must come first. Women are more likely to prioritize this. To women, marriage and friendship are most important. For men, it's more like work and nature. That's because they're so wrapped up in work. There's a great difference here, although it's actually quite simple. From primitive times, men have gone out to hunt and bring their game home. They really had to run around in the wild nature, and with no exception, return home. This still goes on. In Aboriginal and other native families, the men go hunting. They run around in all areas. Then when it's time to go home, the women already know they're on their way. The women who protect the nest also know which direction their men are coming from, so they go out to meet them. You might think that sounds silly, but dogs are that way too. The moment his master says, "I guess I'll be going home now," Fido is waiting at the front door. Dogs can read your mind as if they're telepathic. They sense that you're thinking of heading home. Women naturally have that same power. So you see, men run about throughout the wilderness, catch their food for the day, and bring it home. Then they sit in front of the fire and daydream. Women prepare the food, gather fruits from the trees around the house, share with the neighbors, have dinner, and help their men get rest. That's it. The only thing that's different today is the style of work. So basically, I don't think lifestyles have changed since primeval days. On a mental level, we're all primates, as long as our marriages are simply financial partnerships. We get married, the women have children, and stabilize the household, while the men work and bring home salaries. With that type of marriage, the mentality is no different from the caveman. Now that would be a problem. The priority for both parties must be marriage before nature. Women value relationships such as marital partnership, filial closeness, and friendship. So they naturally have strong communication skills. They are talented at mediation and know how to prevent wars. Good relationships lead to a high level of awareness. Unfortunately, however, that's as far as it goes. For women, that is. Do you know why? Apparently, there is one thing called a switch family. My child once asked me, "Dad, do you know what a switch family is?" I said I didn't, and was told that when parents and children and the husband and wife don't interfere with each other, nobody talks about their problems, because if they do, they would burden the others. That's not true. They're really just afraid of deep relationships. They're afraid of being left out. So they say that they don't want to burden their child, so they don't interfere. The parents don't go deep into their children's hearts. Husbands and wives are the same. But by doing so, family values become less valuable, so when it's Christmas or someone's birthday, they have a party and then retire to the privacy of their own rooms. Just like turning a switch on and off or changing the channel. It looks good at a glance, like everything is going well. Wow, what a great party! Cheers! But nothing further than that. Everyone disappears into his or her own room. This is what's called a switch family. If you ask me, I would say that a family like this is dysfunctional. But then again, in this relationship, there is no fighting, right? Nobody argues, so everything is fine. If someone were to tell me that this is how to build a good relationship, well, it's contradictory to what I have to say. This is the worst case scenario. I have to say that the marriage and the filial relationship are both destroyed. I'm sure you understand. A good relationship is not about carefully avoiding conflict. It's all about speaking from your gut and letting your heart spill out whatever it is that you most want to say at that time. This is what being married and being a parent or child is and should be. Hiding these emotions and pretending to be a happy family, happily married, that's what's called a switch family, I hear. That has got to be the worst. They say that women value marriage, filial relationship, and friendship. But if it's in the form of what I just said, it is just a clever technique acquired for the purpose of preventing anybody from being hurt. It's nonsense. Why are people fascinated by the TV show The Professional? Why are women always after brand name goods? Perhaps it's a status symbol, but that's not all it is. Brand name goods are high in quality. Good things are valuable. They really are. They're worth much more than fake items. The reason that everyone knows them, the spirit and mind of the person who made that bag or designed that dress are in that product. They take special care with every stitch. It's reflected in the price, and everyone knows that. In fact, what you're buying is not the product. You're buying the heart of the person who made it. The reason everyone watches The Professional is that they enjoy watching a man passionately putting everything he has into his work. In other words, love for his work. So the man on the show may not be the average man. At least he may not love his wife or his children or his friends. He is in love with his work. That's what makes him different from others. The average man doesn't love anything at all. He works half-handedly and brings home the paycheck. If you were to say, "Man, your life must be so empty," it probably is. If he started to make a lot of money, he'd probably spend it on the ladies of the night, the cabarets or bars. So I'd say, hey, give it up, that lifestyle. It's sad, don't you think? A man or a woman totally in love with his or her work is far more attractive. But then the relationships simply become relationships. But not in a way to cleverly go through them without hurting anyone. This friendship here, this is compassion. And that's what we need. Compassion. The Professional is a TV program. We can watch men and women who are truly passionate about their work. This is work, and it is nature. What is important is compassion. Also love between the parent and child. And of course, marital love. This has to be a reality. In life, the most important thing is marital love. not affection, love. There's nothing more important.
で、はい。あれ？はい。
There's a section in the book, Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read
この本の中
Maps.
で、次のような一節があります。
It talks about
150ページなんですが、
how
男は仕
men
事と業績、
evaluate themselves by work and
女は人間関係で
achievements,
自分の価値
and
を
women
決め
do
たが
so
る。
by
今までは
relationships.
食べ物を
Up
調達し、
until now,
問題
men
解
have
決するのが
always
男
been
で
the
あり、それ
breadwinners
が生
and
き残るた
solved
めの最重要
problems.
問題だ。
That was their priority in
女は巣
life.
を守り、次世代
Women
を確
protected
実
the
に残す
nest,
ことが
and it was
務め
their
だった
duty to
子育て
give
です
birth
ね。
to the next generation. In fact,
で家庭を切り盛り
numbers
す
of
るということ
national
ですね。
census
はい
show
1990
reports
年代に何度とな
that
く行われた
70 to
男女の価値観
80%
調査でも、
of
国民
men
関係な
value
く
work the
男の
most,
7、8割
and
は
the same
人生で
number
一
of
番大
women
事な
put
の
their
は仕事
family
だ
at
と
the
答え
top of the list.
女の7、8割は家族を一番大切に思ってい
The
る。
book continues to
人間
say
関係
that
に悩み
women
があ
are
る
too
女は仕
worried
事に集中がで
about
きない。
relationships
これ
to
本当にそ
focus
の通り
on
ですね。
work,
ええ
and that
逆に
men are
仕事に行き詰まっている
overwhelmed
男は
with
人間
work
関係にまで気が回
and
ら
don't
ない。
have time to worry about
男ってね、人間
relationships.
関係全然気にしてませんから。
Men are not concerned
会社
about
でね、
relationships.
同
They
僚
don't
とね、う
really
まくいかない
care
とね、
about how well they
何
get
業
along with
績
colleagues,
で追い抜いてや
just
ればいい
as
んだっ
long
て
as their
何も
work performance is
何
good.
も気にしないです。
But if a woman's relationship
で
starts
も
to
女の
deteriorate,
人は人間
be
関
it
係
with
が
a
崩れ
colleague,
るとね、
boss,
会
or
社
a
の同僚と
freshman
かの
below
関係、
her,
上司部下の関係でおかしくなる
she
と、これは
worries
もう
to the
悩んで仕
extent
事が
that
できない
she cannot work.
そのぐらい男と
That's
女
how
の価値観
different
が
the
違うという
values
こと
are.
ですよね。
The
で
woman's
これは
judgment is
明らかに
far
女性の方の価
superior.
値観が正しい
Men
わ
are immature.
けですね。男が非常に未成熟だということですよね。
This isn't
でこんなことやってた
getting
ら
us
もう
anywhere, but
全
it's
然どう
quite
にもならない
simple.
先へ進まないと
There are
いうことに
men
なり
who
ま
are
す。
good at their jobs,
でこれは非常に簡単です。なんで
men who are in high
仕
places,
事がで
men
き
who
る
are
男、
fit
そ
to be
し
the
て社会
boss.
的地位の高い
This
とこ
could
ろ
be
に立て
said
る
in
男、
any
そして
society.
どんな世界でもそうですけど、ボスになれる
President
男、
Sarkozy
社会の頂点に立て
threw
る
away
男、
everything that was
サルコジ
old
大統領とか
and married a
どう
supermodel.
なったか、スーパーモデルと結婚したとかね。
Do you see what I'm getting at?
ね、古いのパーンされてスーパーモデルパーン結婚した。わかりますね、言ってること。社会の頂点に立つボス
When
に
you're
な
at
っ
the
たやつは
top, you
いい
get to
女と
marry a
結婚。
beautiful woman.
それだけ。
End of story.
だから簡単に言えばどういうことか
Simply
というと、
speaking,
要するにですね、
people like
え
singers
歌手であるとか、
or
まあ将棋の棋士でもなんでもいい
shogi
ですけど、
masters
その世界で
and
この人は絶
everyone
対
else
将来
in
有
the
望だ、あるい
limelight
はもう頂点を
marry
極めた、
cute,
ね、そういう人のとこ
Those
ろ、
people,
そういう男性
they
が
marry
結婚している
cute,
女性っていうのは大体可愛
stylish
い結婚
women.
してるわけですね。スタイルがいいとか可愛いとか結婚してるわけです。ね、だから
Now, if you're from
名
a
門の家系です
prestigious
ね、王
family
家
or
の家系。そ
related
したら
to
も
the
うミスユ
king,
ニバース級ですわね。
you're in the Miss
あのクラ
Universe
スが
League.
結婚の見合いの相
If
手
you
なんです
become a lawyer or a doctor,
そうでしょ。
you
弁
can be
護士、
matched
医者
up with a flight
という資
attendant.
格持ったらスチュワーデスぐらいのクラスですねが見合いの対象になってくる。
It raises the
お互い
value
に価値が上がるんで
both
す。
parties.
ね、で女性の場合は見目形ものすごく重要になりますから、
Beauty is an issue
女性の
for
価値としてこの世界で一般
So
論の話
fundamentally,
そうでしょ。
age is important.
だからもう年齢というのも非常に大きな壁になりますね。
So
もう25過ぎると
once a woman is over 25,
商品価値が激
her
減していくわけで
value
すよね。
decreases.
でお父さんってク
Daddy,
リスマスケーキって
Did you
あ
get
る
a
よね。
Christmas cake?
おお
I hope.
25だよなって。25
Yes,
だ
yes,
な
for the
25だな
25th.
クリスマスケーキの
Have you
法則
heard of the
ってあるぞ
law of
ね
the Christmas
そうなんだよ
cake?
なってクリスマス過ぎるともう価格が
I've
暴
heard that
落
the
して
price
さ
goes way down after the 25th.
おそういうことらしい
So
よ
Dad,
とか言って
the 25th is 25, right?
25日で25じゃないってだから12月30日
What happens on New Year's Eve, like on the
ど
31st?
うなるんだって言ったら30を超えるとな
I guess if you're over 30, you're in trouble. That would be a
1
late marriage when you're not worth much at all.
月9日とかいう
So
やつで
then
すね。
I asked about January 9th because if you add 9 to 31, you've got 40.
1月8日と9日には大きな溝がある。
So then we started talking nonsense.
1
Like,
月8日、
oh,
腐る
there's a
直前
big
だ。
gap between
1月
January
9
8th and
あ、それもう
9th.
腐ってんなダメだなとか
So
っていう
on
のをむちゃくちゃな
January
話を
8th,
言
you're
って
just about
したこ
rotten.
とがあるんですしてたんですね。ただそれを僕が友人の女の人に話
I
したんです
mentioned this discussion at home to a woman friend of mine once. She was over 40 and single.
独身だったんですよ。先生、私もう
She
ダメで
said,
す。
"That's it. I've fallen
も
off
う
the
ダメです。落
cliff.
ちました。
I can never get up now."
もう立ち直れませんとか言って、
Oops, sorry.
あごめんって。 40超えてる
I hadn't considered her age, and what I meant to be a
冗談で言っ
joke.
たのが冗談にならなかったってい
Obviously
うことがあ
wasn't.
るんですけれども、そのぐらいですね、女性の年
That's
齢
how much a woman's
もう
age has come to be
非常
the
に大きな
barometer
結構
of
な
her value.
価値基準っていうのになってきますね。それと同じですよ。
Turn
逆
it
に裏返
around,
したら男
and
性の
what
地位で
makes
す。
a man
年
valuable
収
is his
わ
status,
かります？
earnings.
社会的地位の年
and
収
family
それ家柄
background.
ものすごく大きいですよ。
Women
女
look
性
at
は
who they
何を
can
見て
be
るかという
with
と、
in
この
order
人と
to
結
raise
婚
a
したら安
family
全に子育てが
safely.
できるかっていうところを見てるわけですよ。
They won't marry a freelancer.
フリーターと絶対結婚しませんよ。子供育てられない。
Yes, a woman
で
looks
しょ？
at a
女性の
man
価値
who
観
can
ってそうですよ
support
ね。
her
そん
through
なこと
child
分かっ
rearing.
てんですよ。痛いほど分かって
Men
る。
know
だから
that
隠れて
all
し
too
まうんですよ。
well. They
社
try
会
to
的地位を
add as
高く
much
しよう
as
と
they
思う。
can to their
一番になろうと
education.
する。
They try to
大物に
rise
な
to
って
higher
トップに
places
立った
in
らいい
society.
女と結婚ができる。いい
They
女
try to be
っていうの
number
は地位をそうです
one.
よ。
If they try to become big, they can marry a good-looking woman.
社会の頂点にいる女ばっかり。
Only men at the top can marry
ところが
someone
人生の前半ではそう
beautiful,
では
a
なかったん
singer
だけ
or
ど、
a
50
model.
ぐらいになって力を持
But
って
what happens when a man
アザラシの
gains
オスみたいな
power after he turns 50
力
or
持って
so?
羽振りが良くなる。
Like a male seal,
金持って
he
んの
uses his strength and
でなる
shows off his
そうなる
money
と
in
キャバレー
bars
と
and
か行って金ボンボン使っ
cabarets,
てで若い女の子
spending it all on young
ね
women.
相手しようとするんですよ。
The
で
intelligence
しょ？
of a
僕
seal.
これもうほとんどアザラシレベルだなって思うわけで。
You might
だから
ask,
なんで男が
why
仕
is
事なの
work
か
so
って言った
important
らいい
to
仕事
men?
をしてるといい女
Well,
と
if
結
you've got
婚
a
できる
good
あるいはセッ
job,
クス
you
がで
can
きるそう
marry
い
a
うことなんです
beautiful woman.
で
You
女
can
は
have sex when you want
社会
to.
的に地位の高い男性と結婚したらいい巣作りができる。
Women married to the upper class
だから
can
そういう
create a
男性を選ぶんです。
wonderful
だ
nest,
から
and that's
女
why
性
they
が選んでる
choose
んです
these
よ。
men. Women choose
どうい
them.
う男性をセレブだわこれで。
Oh, Daddy, he's great.
素敵
He's rich.
ね。資産が
I can have it all.
その息子だ。あ全部転がり込んでくるぞ。
A wonderful arrangement.
これはいい縁談ですよね。でね。で女
Men
が
aren't
ね
the
これほどバカ
smartest
誰だった
beings,
ら
but if women are at this
男もバカ誰な
level,
んです
the
けど
world
女が
isn't
これほ
going
ど
to
バカ誰だったら
change.
世界変わりません。
Like I always say,
で僕はいつも子供に言ってます。
look
テレビのブラ
behind
ウン
the
管の枠
TV
の外にいろ
screen.
よって。
The other day, I saw a show that was like a
この前
magical
テレビでやって
mystery
たんですよ。
tour.
なんか奇跡のような物語のね。
A man
こ
who
れやって
was
ました。
traveling in
なんかオー
Austria
ストラリアの
met
女
a
の子
girl
が
in a pub and they
で
fell in
なんかどっ
love.
かの国のね王子様。
The man
た
just
またま
happened
オー
to
スト
be
ラ
a
リアに旅
prince,
行に一人で旅行
a
に行って
real prince from an
でその
awesome
パブで
royal
女の
family.
子とその女の子と出会
He
って
reveals
一
his
人で
identity to her
そう
and
男性は
asks
実は
her
王子
to
様
return with him
ものすごい王家
and
の
marry
王
him,
子様があって
but she
で恋に
doesn't
落ちて
answer right
で
away.
いや
After
僕は
returning
実
to
は
his
王子なんだ
country,
君と結
he
婚したい
continues to
君に
send
来て
her
くれって
letters
信じ
and
ない僕ら
emails.
家に帰ってからね
Discovering that his story was
またメールが来
true,
て
she marries
どう
him.
も本物の王子らしい
She was
でついに
pretty.
は2人は結婚してそれ綺麗な女性でした、うん、で結婚式のところをやってて
They had their
で
wedding and it was a
ハッピ
happy
ーエンド
ending,
おとぎ話シンデレラ
a
ストーリ
fairy
ー
tale.
やってたんです
They would live happily ever
っ
after.
て拍手っていう感じなんだけど
For
僕はそこで
me,
終わらない
that's not how the story ends.
テレビはそこで終わるんですよ素敵って私
Not how it
が
does on
素敵って言うんです
TV.
ねで僕は子供にね
Like, oh, how nice, I want a life like
今はいい
that.
けどねあれ大変だよ
So
3
I
年後
say to my son, hey, it might be nice now, but 3 years down the line, there's going to be trouble.
もう幸せって感じなんだよ今だけですよ
How?
で僕は子供に
He
言うんですよ
asks.
王家っていうのはしきたり
Royal
が厳しくて
families have strict rules, and your
あ
future
の要するに
depends
姑
on
に
the
奉仕
type
する
of
人がね
mother-in-law
ど
you
んな人
have.
かで人生は変わると決まるだろうねわかりますね言ってること
Because of the family
嫁姑
status,
の関係
the
これは
in-law
位が高いだけ
situation
に
can
大
be
変なものに
quite
なる
hectic.
それをしっかりと守ってくれるぐらい
The best
その
situation would
素敵な
be
旦
if
那
the
様
husband
が
was so cool
ものすごく
as
素
to
敵
be
な
able
男性
to
で
address
自
his
分の母
mother,
まあ
who could have the power of
位を持ってる
queen,
人から
and just
しっかり
say,
と自分の妻を守って
hey,
お
mom,
母さんちょっとうる
just
さいよ
lay
や
off
って
a
くれるだろう
bit,
こん
protecting
な
his
男性だったら
wife.
最高ですわね、うん、そうまあいませんわね男っていうのは
Needless to say, we won't find men like
母親
that
も見てたら
anytime
そうですよね
soon.
そうですよね
Men say, yes, mom,
あなたどっちがいい
and
か
the
な
wives say,
ってあ
which
ー
side are you
おろお
on
ろしてる
anyway?
でしょ
And the men get
情けない
confused.
男ですよねだから
Pitiful.
僕はねあれ大変だよ
Rules are strict,
もうしきったりが
and
厳
there's
しい
no
し
freedom.
自由はないしであんな王家の
I
人
tell
に
my
なる
son
よ
that
うなね
she would be
多
far
分普通の
happier
庶民
in
で
a
自分
humble
のことを愛
home
してくれる男性と結婚した
where
ら
her
幸せにな
husband
る
loves her.
僕はそう言います子供に
I can see, though,
これは
how
皆さんの
people
世界観の中で
fantasize
この
the
シンデレラになる
Cinderella
それが幸
story
せだ
to
って
be
いう
a
のを
happy
結びついてる
life.
そういう幻想が
She
王
marries
子
a
様と結婚し
prince
てはい幸せになりました。
and lives happily ever
物
after.
語がそこで終わってるんです。
That's where the
僕はね、
story
そこから先を
ends.
考えるんですね。
I think of what
どうな
happens
るんだろうな
afterwards.
とかね。
What is the mother-in-law
王
like?
国の維持は大変だろうな。
Maintaining the kingdom must be incredibly hard. How do they suppress uprisings?
もう
What
いろい
kind
ろあ
of
り
a
ますよ、大変な
government
こと
do they
が
have?
皆さ
Oh,
んそこ
so
で
many
来たこと
things to worry about.
なぜシンデレラに
But
なら
that's
ない
where the
の？
worrying
スタイルが良くない
stops.
のよね。胸がもう10センチ
Why can't I be
私
Cinderella?
もう
Must be
これ
my
大きかった
figure.
なとか
If I only had 10 more
聞いて
centimeters
み
on
ま
my
した。妻に
breast.
ね、
If my cup size was a little larger.
B とか
So I asked my wife,
マイナスは
what
ない
does
か
an A cup mean? Is there such a thing as a minus cup? Because it doesn't make sense to me. Why do people think they can gain happiness
わかるでしょ？
with a
スタイルが
better
あったらみんな
figure?
たちが話したら私もああなるの。
What does that mean?
だからもっとスタイルがあったら幸せになれるはずだ。
They think they're happier if they
そんな
look
こと分かってない
better?
んですよ。
They won't be.
ならないです、現実。
Because if they
もしね、
could be, Prince Charles
男が地位で幸せにな
and
れるんだ
former
ったら
Prime Minister
チャールズ
Aso
皇太子にしたって
would all be happy people.
ね、麻生総理だってみんな幸せにな
But
った
they're
わ
not.
でしょ？現実はなっ
Look
てない
at
ですよ。
them.
金持ちほど
The
ね、
richer
人
they
相悪いんですよ。
come, the meaner they look.
金持ちほどね、
They're too
自分の
worried
資産を
about
短い
holding on to their riches.
その資産を減ら
It
すまいと
shows in their
懸命の努力
faces.
でも人相すごく悪くなってます。
Say a beautiful woman gets
ものすごい美
married,
女がね、結婚して
and the years go by,
何年か経ったら
like Grace Kelly, for example. When she was young, she must have been the most beautiful looking girl on earth.
若い時綺麗ですよね。
Or Audrey Hepburn, the moment she was most beautiful.
ね、
At that moment, she was
あの瞬間
stunning.
だけ美しいですね。
But just that
グレース・ケリーの
moment,
最高の姿、あれがすぐ散るんで
Grace
すね。
Kelly's
なぜか
best looks deteriorated because her marital relationship did.
結婚生活が不幸だからすぐ散るん
Just
で
as
す。
soon as your relationship goes bad, your marriage goes bad,
だと思うんです。
so do your looks.
で、結婚して
When I
何十年
saw
か
a
経った
photo
後
of that beautiful
あの
Grace
美しかった
Kelly
グレース
soon
ケ
after
リ
she
ーを
was
写真で見
married,
たら、
she was surprisingly not beautiful.
こんな女性
This
どこ
could
にでもい
be
いじゃん
any woman, I thought.
これは夫婦関係
That's
めちゃめ
because
ちゃ
her
だったって
marriage
こと
was
ですね。
falling apart.
だからものすごい美しい女
So,
性が
does a
素敵な
really
男性
beautiful
王家に
woman
嫁いで 幸
become
せにな
happy
れるの
after
か
she
なれ
marries
ない
into the kingdom of a handsome man? Not necessarily.
あんなのチャー
Look
ルズ
at
皇太子
Princess
よ
Diana.
りいい縁談ありま
Could
す
there have been a better offer for
名
her?
声、地位、
Fame?
何もかも持ってる。
Status?
で結婚して不幸
Everything. But her marriage made her unhappy.
逆に立場だったらね、ダイアナ妃みたいな美しい女性と結婚して愛せない。
From the other standpoint, there's no happiness in marrying a beautiful woman such as Princess Diana.
愛せないんですよ。
No matter how beautiful she is,
ね
there's
だ
no
から美しい女
happiness
性と結
there.
婚したって絶
You
対
see,
幸せになれない。
marrying a beautiful
どんなに地
woman
位と
or
名
a
声
famous
とかね、
man
権力とか
does
い
not
ろんな
make
も
a
のを持ってる
happy
男性と結婚
marriage.
しても幸せになれ
It
ない。
can't.
そういう
This is
もの
where
なんですよ。
people need to
それ
change
は
their
人
values.
間がね、もっと価値観を変えないといけない。
When a woman
女が
marries a man
相
for
手の
his
地位と名
rank
声
and
で、
fame,
ね、
for
権
his
力で
power
財
and
産で
money,
結婚したら
this is no
ず
different
っ
than the
と
primeval
原
age.
始時代と全然変わらない。
Instead, what
ずっ
needs
と
to be
同じことを
most
繰り返す。
considered is marital
そうで
love.
しょ？そうではなく
The
て、
question is,
何が基準
is
になるか。
this man
夫婦愛
going
なん
to
です
love me for the
夫婦愛を
rest
大
of
きに
my
しない
life?
簡単に
If
言
you
うと、
start like
一
this,
生私
you
の
don't
ことを愛
need
してくれ
money
る
at
か。
first. If the two of you
この
work
人は私を
hard,
ずっと一生愛し
you
続け
can
て
make
く
a
れる。これ
fortune.
が基準でないといけない。
If you start with a
もしこれ
fortune,
が基準だったら、
the nest
今
might
財
not
産
be
がなくて
built
も
well.
夫婦で二人で一生懸命
Sure,
仕事してい
you'll
けば
send
必
your
ず財産が
children to private school
わかりますね。
and never be
ところが
hungry.
財産で結婚したら、
But without the most
もともと
important focus at the
そういう
beginning,
最も大切な
your
視点で
marriage
結婚
has
してない
gone
から、
cold,
巣作りは
and
う
the
まくいくかも
husband
しれません。
finds
家庭環境は
another
お
woman.
金という意味ではね、息子私学にあって、ね、食うものは困らないかもしれません。で夫婦関係
The
壊れて
more
る
he shows
で
off,
夫はって外に女作ってるだけ。
the more likely he is
そうでしょ。
to have another woman
男っていうのは外の女。
outside.
うん
That's what I say.
これ
Can
も
we
うやめなさい
stop
ってことなんです
this
よ
lifestyle,
僕からですね。
please?
なんでこうなるのかっていうと、
It's
女
because
が
the woman
家
chooses the
庭
man
巣
for
作り子育てで
family,
男を選ぶから。
nesting,
子育てで
and child rearing.
男を選ぶんです。
That's where it has
基準が
gone
間違ってる。
astray.
夫婦の愛ね。
The
関係なんで
love
す。夫婦の愛
between
それから親子
husband and
の愛、
wife.
友愛。これで男を選ばないといけ
It
ない。
has to be choosing a man for marital love first, then filial love,
どん
then
な仕事しててもいいんです
compassion.
男が。
What
どんな学
difference
歴だっ
does
て構わない
work or education make?
でしょ。
I've been with my
僕は
wife
そ
for
の後
about
今でもそう
20
ですけど
years.
結婚してもう20年ぐらいになる。
I love her
今
more
の方が
now than I ever did
今の方が
before.
ずっと好きです。
When we were
今の
young,
妻は。
we used to fight.
若い時っていうのは喧嘩ばっかりしてます。
But I wanted
た
to
だ
marry
お
her.
互いにね、僕は彼女見たら、あ、この人と結婚したいと思ったんです。
I was sure that I
この
would
人と
be
結婚した
happy
ら
if she
絶対幸せ
became
にな
my
れると思いま
wife.
した。
I wrote her letters.
君と結婚したら僕は絶対幸
Oh,
せに
and
なる。だから
women
結婚したい。
know how to read
それを
letters.
女っちゅうのはうまいこと読みますね。
You
あなたは
wrote that you
私
would
とね、
make me
私を
happy.
幸せにするって書いてあ
I
る。
never wrote such a thing. I never said I would make you happy, and I never wrote that.
で俺そんなこと書いてない。
No,
君を幸せにするのはどこにも一
not
回
in
も言っ
one
たことない。
place did I ever
書いた
say I
こと
would
ない。
make you happy.
いや書いたあなたは私を絶対幸せにする
No,
って
you
書いて
wrote
た
that you would make me
いや
happy.
俺が書いたのは
What I wrote
君と
was that
結
if
婚
I
したら僕
married
は
you,
絶対幸
I
せ
would
になれる
become
って書いてあ
happy.
る。
Happiness is something you
幸せっていうのは自分で
acquire
掴み取るもの。
yourself. You can't
人に幸せ
expect
にしてもらう
someone
ことは
else
でき
to
ない。
make you
自分で
happy.
幸せをつかみ取るものなんだって。人を幸せにすることはできない。だから
No.
全部
She pulled out all of the letters that she had kept and read them over
全部
again.
2階に行って全部読んで
You're
あ
right.
なたの言う通りだ。
There's nothing in here that says
そ
you'll
こ
make
に
me
も私を
happy.
幸せにするって書いてなかった。だ
I married her because
から僕は
I
彼女と結
knew
婚したら絶対自分
I
が
would
幸せ
be
になれると
happy.
思ったんで、この人だと思って結婚したわけ
And
です
the
ね。
next thing
で
she
彼女
knew,
も
she was
気づいたら
married
結
to
婚してる
me.
なっていうような感じで結婚してるわけですね。
When
で
I
僕は
married
彼女
her,
と
I
結
had
婚した
no
時に
savings. 年
年
I
金
hadn't
がありませんで
decided
した。
on a job. I was
就職
28.
先も決まっていませんでした。
I
28
didn't even have a bank account.
本当に預金高ほとんどゼロいるから
I
ゼ
was
ロ
still
本当に
going
持
to
ってなかった
university
28
and working part-time
大
at
学
a
に行って
cram
ね
school.
それで塾でなんかで仕事したりとかいろいろやってて26
When I asked her
で彼女と
parents
出会って
for her hand
で
in
一緒に
marriage,
結婚しようっていうことがね。で旦
they
那
were
さんのお父さんお母さんのところにくださいって言ったらものすごい言わ
they
れて
said
ね
that if I would
老後の
promise
世
to
話見る
look
中で
after
ある
them when they
それ
aged,
は約束できないって
they'd
言った
give
ら
her to
も
me.
のすごい怒られましたね。言われましたね。
I said,
老
I
後の
couldn't
世話をす
promise
るって
that,
約束したら
and they
嫁をや
scolded
る
me.
やろうなんていう
I wasn't going to agree to a deal like, you can have our daughter if you support us in our old age. So I grabbed her and ran. I had nothing, no money, no future, no
財産はな
ambition,
い。将来性はない
nothing.
ね。預金も何もないですよ。で
We started
さ
living
一緒に暮らし
together,
始
and
めて
that was
これ
when
から
I
就職
finally
探しに
decided
行こ
to
うって
look for a job.
3月です
It was around March.
3月ですよ。
We're going to
で
Fukuoka, I said.
福岡だって
And I
言うんで
called her
バーッと顔を持って
seminar.
福岡の駅に行って
I
電話
called
パ
the
スから
school and I
病院に
said,
なるっていう
give me an
電話
interview.
をかけて
I'm at the
電
station.
話をかけて面接してくれ。
Well,
今福岡の
the
博多駅に来て
principal seemed to like my
そしたら向こうが
style.
おもろいのがいるぞ。
Funny, that's the way my life
で
has
局長が出て
been
きていやーいいですね。
ever since.
僕もそういう生き方をしてみたいなって言って採用。
Well,
そういうね。
basically.
そういう生き方してましたからね。今でもあんまり変わってませんけど。何
We
にも
were
ありません
drawn to each other
でお互いに惹
and
かれ合って
are
結婚
married.
それから
We have
一緒
been
に
living together and have had our
喧
quarrels.
嘩もしてね
There must have been
20
about
ぐらいあります
20
よ
times that I
こんな
thought, this is
女
it.
だったんだとか
I'm getting a divorce.
あーって叫ぶんだけど
But the next day,
次の日
I've
に忘れてる
completely forgotten that feeling. We have continued to live together, and as we appreciate each other, our fights have dwindled, and we get along infamously.
そうしてどんどんどんどんお互いを見つめ合って
Of
いくうち
course,
に
my wife was very pretty when she was young.
もう今ではもう全く感じませんからね。
I didn't like
若
her.
い時の僕の妻の顔はね
She had
や
a
っぱり
bad
怖いです。
personality.
だけど全然好きじゃない。
I like her face now.
ダメなんですよ。今の顔が好きなんですよ。
I much prefer her now to then. I love her more and more as she gets older. I think it's natural. If you look at life straight in the eye and let your love grow, it gets better with age. On the other hand, if you dwell over how you were hurt in the past, your marriage will fall apart. That's why it's important to forgive each other. It's all about what's most important.
だから大切なの何ってことなんですよ。
It's wrong to say that a woman's job is simply to send the children to private school and university. It's wrong to simply summarize that as family love. When you think about what is truly important, you need to choose that by focusing on if this person is going to love you for the rest of your life. When a man finds a woman he can love forever, that is when he has found
これは
happiness.
ね、もう男の喜びなんですね。最高の喜びなんです。一生愛し続けられる女性。
This does not only apply to men. A woman is also happiest when she has found a man she can continue to give her love to. This has got to be the basis of a
そうい
marriage.
う基準で夫婦にならないとい
Love
けない。
always
というこ
starts
となんです
as a
で
seed.
愛というのは種ですからみん
It
な
must
最
be
初はね
grown and
育てないといけ
nurtured
ないだんだん太く
until
なっ
it
ていく
slowly
幹になっていく
becomes the trunk of a
それ
tree.
を育てるね努力をしないといけない
It takes
ということなんですね。
work to grow it
さあ
properly.
どうやって育てるかということなんですが
Men are always
子供はね
confused,
なんせ
so
懇親会
they
ですか
don't know
ら
what to
何
do.
にも分かってません